8K and 4K are now being introduced to the budget tier options from the $20 price point all the way up to like the $60 or even $70 price point. Hall effects compatible keyboards are below $100. Headphones and IEMs making advancements in the budget department as well. Though despite being at a lower price, a lot of companies are taking advantage of the quote-unquote blind buyers who automatically buy something that just has a 4K or an 8K polling rate label on their product, even though they do not support that features set whatsoever. So today I'm going to be talking about the best budget tech that came out this year to make things a lot better. They've all been tested by me, so just to ensure that you're not getting scammed whatsoever. So this is the best budget tech from 2024. Here is a gaming mouse that supports 4K polling, that's less than $40 and has an included 4K dongle, so you don't have to worry about purchasing an additional item. This is the Red Dragon King M916 Pro. It's weighing in at around 50 grams and it has a longer battery life compared to even the higher end mice with similar specs despite rocking only a 300 milliamp battery. This is probably going to be my favorite product in this list because there's absolutely no false advertisement. This is a true 4K gaming mouse. And on top of that, it's rocking the exact same Nordic 3395 sensor that the Lamzu Maya 4K is rocking. So you're getting almost the exact same performance, all that at nearly a quarter of the price. Software is very minimal and uses very little resources. There's no annoying RGB, has wired, 2.4 wireless, and Bluetooth as well. It's also very forgiving and a very safe ambidextrous shape that works with all sorts of grip types. There's no pre-travel with any of the Huanu blue switches, and the matte coating is fairly reliable for a few months. Unfortunately, after those few months are over, you will then start to see the quality of the coating sort of degrade a little bit. There's a little bit of a sheen kind of shine. I don't know if you can see it. It does occur after almost 6 months of usage that I've noticed it's starting to come out to light. Luckily for me, this is not necessarily a big issue. I just slapped on some grip tape on the hotspot areas that are, kind of suffering the most, and I've been fairly okay with it for the most part. Gameplay was phenomenal. I had almost no hiccups with the sensor, and honestly, I couldn't believe I was playing with a $30 mouse. The only other downside to this mouse as well is going to be the scroll wheel tactility. So when you click on the scroll wheel, it requires a little bit more actuation force versus the other switches on the mouse itself. So it could kind of feel a little bit mushy. Yeah, that's probably the only downside I have with this. The scroll wheel could be a little bit better. But then again, for only like $35, this is such a great steal. Next is going to be the Fifine Microphone Tank 3. This was actually talked about in my last video, and well, it's probably one of my favorite gaming / streaming microphones to come out this year. And if you're wondering how it sounds, well, take a listen. This is it. This is the Fifine Tank 3, and it sounds very, very phenomenal. It's a dynamic microphone that could be used USB or XLR, and it's a full metal build with a matte coating finish and has a built-in pop filter, so you don't have to worry about the extra bulk. It is very minimal, it's very aesthetic, perfect for your streams and your podcasts, and it sounds like a Shure SM7B at only a fraction of the cost. My only real complaint is going to be the swivel arm of this microphone. So when you swivel it, despite it being fully locked, you're still able to move it. Don't get me wrong, there's a little bit of resistance when fully turned, but you would expect something like this to be completely locked on if you accidentally bumped the microphone. So it might be an issue for people who are in more of a, I guess, not in a very stationary position if they're moving their microphone a lot, but it won't be bothersome for those who just keep it the way I have it right now. Overall, the sound is very crisp. It's neutral with a slight bass boost, and the build quality is honestly fairly top notch, something I definitely recommend. Next is going to be the Kiwi Ears Singolo. These are one of the latest collabs by the infamous Critical himself. However, these were not well received because the fitment and the sound quality was falling a little bit short compared to his other collaborations like the Truth Here Zero. I have to admit, after purchasing these IEMs, I was expecting a lot, especially at the asking $80 price point, which I did have to buy at launch. You know, it was sort of a hype, but unfortunately that hype fell very, very short. I had to really stuff these guys in my ears to get a well-received sound. Luckily, slapping on some aftermarket silicone tips that came from these Zeros actually resolved this issue for me. The sound was fairly reasonable, a neutral sound with a bass boost, but for $80, I much prefer the more exciting Truth Here Zeros. However, that being said, Amazon has had these IEMs on sale for only $40. And for $40, that kind of changes the entire narrative of these IEMs. Though despite the nozzle being a little bit too short and having to physically assault your ear canals to get a good fit, it sucks that production sort of plagued these IEMs, and honestly they're good IEMs if you just swap out the ear tips. But yeah, you can tell they're just obviously trying to get rid of some inventory, but $40 is honestly a fairly decent deal, and I probably put these just above the Zero Blues, but I wouldn't necessarily put this above the neutral version of the Truth Here Zero Reds. Last but definitely not least is going to be this gaming keyboard. This has to be my go-to gaming keyboard for the past year. As much as I wanted to spend money on the wooding, I simply could not justify spending that much on plastic. A lot of people upgraded their wooding cases and switches, but you're already spending about close to $200 plus for that sort of thing. Looking at it on Amazon, I ran into the Red Dragon Irelia 65% keyboard. It has almost the exact same feature set as the wooding minus snap tap, and only at a quarter of the price. The Hall Effect switch's lowest actuation is 0.1 millimeters and the highest actuation point is 4 millimeters. On top of that, you can actually enable 2 action per key press, giving you the advantage in video games like Call of Duty or Battlefield when you're doing a quick crouch to prone. The software is a little bit hard to find, but don't worry, I have it linked down below to make sure you guys have it downloaded if you are interested in buying this keyboard. The app is fairly straightforward. The only few downsides to it is that you need to have it open at all times in order to get quick trigger to work on this keyboard, which kind of sucks because I'm used to just exiting it out and the program will run in the background. But for some reason, you exit out of the app and well, the program is still running, but your quick trigger is disabled. So it kind of blows. So you kind of have to leave it open in order for it to, make sure it's working. But other than that, it's a fairly decent keyboard and great software. So this is a great keyboard for someone who is looking into getting into quick trigger and taking advantage in a game like Valorant, CSGO, or any other video game that takes advantage of this type of technology. So that's all, folks. This is the best budget tech that I could find throughout the entire year. It did take a little bit of time to kind of sort things together to make sure everything was working and making sure that the prices were stable and as low as they could be. There's some other honorable mentions, but I'm simply not going to bring that up today. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, get us down to 1,000 subscribers. We are close. I have 1 month to get monetized, so please hit that subscribe button. It'll mean the world to me. And well, that's what this channel is all about, just finding the greatest deals, and as well as making sure that you, the consumer, are not getting scammed out of their money for false advertisements. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next year, and have a good rest of your day. See y'all. Deuces.